Bore dar everybody, it's Mrs. Wood here and welcome back. I hope you all had a lovely half term. Before I start today's assembly, I'm just going to hand you over to one of my Crew Cymraeg members who's going to remind us what this week's phrase of the week is. Oh, bendigedig. So, rowch eich gwaith hebio os gwelwch yn dda, which means put your work away please. I'm sure that is a phrase your teachers could probably use a lot. So today's assembly is all about World Oceans Day. Now World Oceans Day is celebrated today on June the 8th and it's been celebrated on this day every single year since 1992. The theme of this year's World Ocean Day is about the ocean, life and livelihoods. Now a livelihood refers to a person's way of life and some people's livelihoods depend strongly on the ocean. It might be that is their job, for example they're a fisherman, or it could be that they need the produce of the sea, like fish, to eat to be able to survive. Before I start today's assembly properly, I'm just going to show you a quick 2-minute video introducing you to World Oceans Day. As you watch the video, think of it if there are any facts in there that you find quite shocking or quite surprising.
What if I told you there's an essence on this planet so powerful that it can sustain all forms of life? In essence, it can capture carbon, regulate the climate, and nourish humanity, while providing new ways to heal us, connect us, and bring us abundance. Would you learn from it, protect it, honor it? Or would you continue to take from it while ignoring its limits? With 90% of big fish populations depleted and half of coral reefs destroyed, we are extracting more from the ocean than can be replenished. And with all our livelihoods so dependent, interconnected with the ocean, we depend on its health in more ways than one. We must build a connection to the ocean that is inclusive, innovative, and informed by those who depend on it, as well as by lessons from the past. On June 8th, join the United Nations and Oceanic Global for United Nations World Oceans Day 2021. Deepen your understanding of the ocean and its wonders. Join scientists, explorers, experts, and coastal communities from around the world. For this year's theme, the ocean, life, and livelihoods.
So, have a chat to your partner, shred a partner. Was there anything surprising you found in that short video? Teachers, you can pause here if you need to. So the fact that I found quite shocking was that half the coral reefs in the world have now been destroyed. So sad. So today, on World Oceans Day, we're trying to do things to help prevent the coral reefs from dying and try to keep safe all these animals and wildlife. So World Oceans Day is held on the 8th of June each year, and as I said before, this year's theme is life and livelihoods. So let's explore how the world's ocean supports millions of lives across the world. So first of all, did you know the world has 5 major oceans? Do you know what they are? So teachers, if you pause here, give the children a chance to see if they can name all 5 oceans. So well done if you had any of the following oceans. We have the Atlantic Ocean, we have the Pacific Ocean, we have the Arctic Ocean, we have the Indian Ocean, and finally we have the Southern Ocean, or you might know it as Antarctic Ocean. So nearly 3/4, that's 75% of our planet's surface is covered by water. The oceans are an incredibly important part of our world. So why is the ocean so important? The ocean is our source of life. It supports humans and every other living creature on Earth. At least half of the world's oxygen is produced by the oceans. and the oceans absorb about 93% of the extra heat from global warming, so they are incredibly important to our survival. Why is the ocean so important? Coastal communities need the ocean. At least 500 million people, that's 500 million worldwide, depend on the ocean for their daily food, income, and other needs. For these communities, the ocean is their livelihood, their only way of life. I'm now going to show you some pictures, and these show how people's lives are linked to the ocean. So as I slowly go through these photographs, I would like you to try to get a partner and have a think about what you think these people are doing in the photographs and what maybe their jobs might be. What do you think they are using those contraptions for? But our oceans, as you heard in the video, are at risk. We all need our oceans, but sadly they're at risk in many ways. Coral reefs are very important ocean habitats. Although less than 1% of the ocean floor is coral reef, so 1%, a tiny amount, 25% of marine animals live there, so a quarter of all the animals live in the coral reef. However, coral reefs are in danger. They can go from this to, unfortunately, this. This is dead coral that was washed up on a beach in China. Half of the world's coral reefs have now been destroyed over the past 40 years because of human activity. How? Why do you think this has happened? There are several reasons why this has happened. So first of all, there's pollution. This may be from plastic pollution, from rubbish, or maybe from poisonous chemicals being poured into the sea. Secondly, the building along the coasts. Coastal developments such as building new beach resorts and reclaiming land from the sea for new homes and factories may also destroy the marine habitats. Thirdly, overfishing, that is fishing too much or too often. The United Nations estimates that 90% of the big fish populations have been depleted. So 90% of those fish populations have now gone. Warmer weather because of climate change. So as the sea absorbs heat from human activity, the sea temperature starts to rise. The change in temperatures affect marine life, and water levels rise, increasing the risks of flooding. And lastly, more acidic water because of climate change. When carbon dioxide reacts with water, it produces a weak acid. About 30% of the carbon dioxide produced by human activities has dissolved into the oceans, turning them more acidic and affect organisms and sea animals that live in them. Unfortunately, our oceans are full of plastic pollution. It is estimated that up to 12 million tonnes of plastic end up in our ocean every year. That's the same as one rubbish truck full every minute. So one rubbish truck full being dumped into our oceans every single minute of the day. That's astonishing. Plastic causes problems for many creatures in our oceans. Much of the plastic rubbish in the ocean comes from single-use plastics, so that means plastics you can only use once, such as water bottles and food wrappers. Plastic lasts hundreds of years, so the danger stays around for that long too. I have some images here of some sea life animals that have been affected by the plastic pollution. So I'd like you to try to get a partner and think of 3 words that come into your heads when you see these photographs. Okay, Diane. So moving on, climate changes. The oceans of our world absorb more than 90% of the Earth's heat and help to spread this heat more equally around the globe. But as the global temperatures rise as a result of global warming from air pollution, so do the temperatures of our oceans. This rise in temperatures have a negative impact on marine habitats and the millions of people who rely upon them. Now, I've got a quick game to play with you. I would like you to estimate how long do you think it takes for a plastic bottle to decompose. Now, by decompose, I mean to break down. So to break down into smaller and smaller and smaller bits till eventually it is no more. So I'm going to ask your teachers to give a dojo to the person or people in the class who get the closest to the correct answer. So you pause the video here. Maybe teachers, you take some answers from the children to see how long it takes for a plastic bottle to decompose. And the answer is, I wonder if any of you were near, the answer is an astonishing 450 years for one plastic bottle to decompose. That is an incredible amount of time. And that is why we encourage you to bring the reusable water bottles to school rather than the single-use plastic bottles, as you can see in this slide. So we're going to play the game now, higher or lower. Okay, so I have a plastic bag, as you can see in the PowerPoint, a plastic bag. Do you think higher or lower? Do you think it'll take longer, more than 450 years to decompose? Or do you think it will take less than 450 years to decompose a plastic bag? So dwylw i fyny if you think it is higher, and dwylw i fyny if you think it is lower. A plastic bag is lower. It takes only 15 years. I say only, it's still quite a long time. It takes 15 years to decompose. Diane, if you had that correct. Moving on. Higher or lower? A tin can. Do you think a tin can takes more than 15 years, so higher? Or do you think a tin can takes less than 15 years, lower? Dwylw i fyny if you think higher. And dwylw i fyny if you think lower. Bendigedig to all those of you who said higher, because a tin can takes 100 years to decompose, an incredible amount of time. Okay, the next one. Higher or lower than 100 years? Do you think a glass bottle will take longer to decompose, so higher, or do you think it will take less time to decompose, so lower? Dwylw i fyny for higher, and dwylw i fyny for lower. It is higher. It actually takes 500 years for a glass bottle to break down and to decompose. And finally, orange peel. Now, do you think orange peel is higher or lower than 500 years? Dwylw i fyny if you think higher, and dwylw i fyny if you think lower. Yeah, 6 months is definitely lower. Think about all the food waste you can recycle, the food waste that can be turned into compost and things. So it's most definitely lower than 500 years, only 6 months. So what can we do to help? How could you use less single-use plastics? How could you use less electricity? Could you change what you eat to help reduce the greenhouse gases? Think about what you can do at home and what you can do at school. You could research ocean communities in your country or further away. You could learn how these communities have been affected by climate change and overfishing. Have a little think what you could do at home or what we can do in school to help the oceans. I've had a little think, and I thought of 3 things we could probably all do quite easily to help this situation. So what can we do at St Andrew's Primary School to help? I thought number 1, we could easily use reusable bottles, because after learning that it takes 450 years for a bottle to decompose, I'm sure now we could all use a reusable bottle rather than those single throwaway plastic bottles. Number 2, recycle properly. And by that I mean, if you're out and about, you see the recycle bins, put the rubbish in the recycle bins. Use the recycling bins you have in your house to recycle things properly. Don't just throw them in the normal bin if it's plastic can be recycled or if it's cardboard that can be recycled. And number 3, pick up your rubbish after visiting a beach, because lots and lots of the plastic pollution you saw earlier on comes from people leaving things on the beach and being swept into the sea. So after a lovely day at the beach, make sure you pick up all your rubbish. They are 3 simple things you can do to help. So to finish, we're going to have the prayer. So, gweddill. Diolch I ti am y byd, diolch am ein ffrindiau I gyd. Amen. Have a lovely day, everybody. Bye.